Hello Viking Warriors, I'm Johan the Viking Prepper, and today I want to talk about the 5 No BS SHTF threats that all people face. Most all other threats are sort of BS online prepper fantasy. So based on my research and my military experience, I will now share these 5 threats with you. So stay tuned. A quick recap from last threat analysis video is that we need to think the following when identifying larger scale threats. Does it affect more than one person? Is it man-made or natural? If it's man-made, is it intentional or accidental? And if it's natural, is it on Earth or is it of celestial influence? Has it happened in the past? Has it happened several times? And how frequently does it happen? I mean, is there a pattern? It's sort of a predictable frequency that we can go by. And to what degree of control do we humans have? And is this a local or a global in scope? So following that criteria, the 5 No BS SHTF threats that will cause a chain reaction in our society and affect the entire country is 1. Natural disaster. Because it can have major effect on entire states or our country, like Hurricane Katrina. Number 2. Economic collapse. When we have a US national debt of over $22 trillion and the way the markets are at an overall high, there's only one way this is going to end. So eventually we will have a huge recession. Number 3 will be a pandemic outbreak. It can be natural or man-made because we have superbugs from overuse of antibiotics and viruses that we have no protection against. And every year the flu virus mutates, and every year we get a slightly different form of it, really. And we also have viruses like SARS and Ebola. And when it comes to man-made threats, there are pathogens weaponized by the military, like anthrax, or an even scarier pathogen like Ebola pox, which is a hybrid of Ebola mixed with smallpox. Now, if those pathogens escape from the labs or are used purposely, it will be devastating. Number 4, power grid failure. In an interview with former CIA Director James Woolsey, losing the power grid is what is keeping him up at night. Of all the things that could worry a CIA director, that is what he seems to be most worried about. And it makes sense that we should kind of worry about it too. And it could be anything from electrical magnetic pulse, a terror attack, or a digital hacking attacks on the power grid in itself. Number 5, nuclear disaster. We'll see what happened in Japan after the earthquake and the tsunami. And I hope that you and your children never have to experience this. But back in April of 1986, I lived in Sweden. And because of the unfavorable winds and weather, we got bombarded with nuclear toxic rain from the Chernobyl reactor meltdown. And that was in the Soviet-controlled Ukraine. And we all had to take iodine pills as a precaution for thyroid radiation poisoning. But think about it. China, Russia, or terrorists don't have to launch nuclear weapons. All they have to do is with a small missile attack or a cyber attack, a digital attack, target 1 or 2 of the 60 nuclear power plants that has 98 reactors that are being used in the US. And this can also become a threat if there is a large-scale power outage for a long period of time. Another issue that we face is that when the government responds to these types of disasters, they do it by shutting things down and closing things off to protect people. Now, the one problem that I don't think they've dealt with or have a solution for is to keep transportation of supplies open in a crisis. From a report I just read from the American Trucking Association, and I think it goes back a few years, and basically history has shown what will happen when we have a major disruption in truck travel. So following the 9/11 terrorist attack, significant truck delays at the Canadian border crossings shut down several auto manufacturing plants in Michigan, because just-in-time parts were not delivered. And following Hurricane Katrina, trucks loaded with emergency goods were rerouted, and they were creating a lengthy delays in delivering urgently needed supplies to the stricken areas. And although in the face of an elevated threat, level of terrorist attack, or a pandemic, halting truck traffic may appear to be the best defense, but it puts citizens at risk. Having said that, how does that impact me and my family? Well, consider this. If any of the 5 events I mentioned were to happen, and it stops the trucks from moving, America stops. Most grocery stores only have 3 days worth of supplies in their stores. Consumer panic and fear will definitely speed up those shortages. And supplies of clean drinking water will run dry in about 2 to 4 weeks. And that's not because they're running out of water. It's because they have no chemicals to treat the water. There's no chemicals being delivered. And when it comes to healthcare, medications, antibiotics, and all other healthcare supplies to hospitals and pharmacies and nursing homes will stop. And the food supplies, especially nursing homes and hospitals, the food supplies will exhaust in less than 24 hours if they have no deliveries. And service stations, they will run out of gasoline, as most requires a delivery every 2 days, meaning that automobile travel will cease within 1 week if fuel deliveries are halted. And without access to travel and transportation, there will be labor shortages. It will also affect police, fire rescue, and other public service vehicles. The U.S. mail, other package delivery operations will cease within 2 weeks. And also within 2 weeks, the garbage will start to pile up in urban areas as there's no garbage trucks on the road. And also another snowball effect is the air, rail, and maritime transportation will be grounded due to the lack of supplies for operations. Now, this is only one gear of many, but one of the most overseen and largest that can have a huge snowball effect in this giant engine that we call society, right? And it can be catastrophic. Having that said, there's no need to panic about it. I'm not saying all this to freak you out. I'm bringing this to your attention for you to understand the urgency in having a plan made up. Start following through with the plan and prepare for any of these events. In most events, you'll most likely get away with having supplies for a month, but for a larger scale crisis or emergency, you should probably plan for 3 to 6 months. But it's preferable that you work your way up to a 1-year preparedness plan, and that's what I would recommend. And I hope that we can all spread the word in a normal, calm manner so that everyone does prepare for 3 to 6 months of interruption of life as we know it. Because in the old days, this would never have been a problem. As back then, they were not so dependent on electricity or transportation of goods. And it's important that we prepare for a rainy day, but also allow ourselves to live normal life with normal activities. I hope more and more people consider normal preparedness. They owe that to their families and loved ones. And the more people that have 3 to 6 months or longer preparedness, the better. And as of today, it's estimated that 80 to 90% of the population will perish in the first year of no electricity. And that's due to many different factors. In my next video, I would like to help you deal with these threats and show you how I put together a plan and the proper lists that is needed to keep your focus, save years in prepper time, and also save you money. Because you're in the right place at the right time, I want you to join me and other Viking warriors as we plan, prepare to prevail. And if you haven't already, click that subscribe button and the bell button, because in that way you get notified when I post new videos. And yeah, until next time, prepare and stay safe.